You know, the most important thing for an artist is to have a private space for a studio. And this is my Encaustic studio. It's compact, but it works. I can actually accommodate 3 to 4 people in a workshop, in a physical workshop. But today my video is about how to set up a personal studio so that you can create at your leisure without being bothered by outside interruptions. The most important thing in a studio is to have good working space. And here I've got 2 different tables and a third one in the back. I just have to have a sip here. This is about 32 inches off the floor. This is around 3 feet. However tall you are, it's important that you have a good level height for you so that you're not bent over and stressing your back. So this is actually a great height. This is okay. This is good too. I can get in and do my photo transfers and do prepping. This is also good for my prep station because I can put my substrates on and I can work with my medium bath. With Encaustic, the most important element is to have a tabletop thermometer. This is a tabletop grill thermometer. You can find them in barbecue grill stores. You can Google on Amazon and find one in there. It's very important because whatever surface you're using to melt your encaustic paints, I'll get that into that in a minute, you must keep the temperature around 175 Fahrenheit or whatever that is in Celsius. Because if the surface heats past 250 Fahrenheit, it reaches what's called a flash point. The encaustic paints will start to smoke and release toxins into the air, and they also have a nasty habit of self-combusting. You don't want that in your studio. The other thing is I work with heat guns. Some people work with propane torches. I don't know where mine is right now. I prefer heat guns because you can control the fusing way better. The thing with heat guns is you work with them on low heat. And just for reminders, I have my low heat painted with a bit of yellow, just to remind me and my students where the low heat is. The other thing about heat guns is there's a hand guard because the barrel can get very, very hot and you do not want to touch the barrel, believe me. The other thing too is if you use heat guns on high, it tends to stress the heat gun and fry them, and you can't control the fusing in a very careful way. So those are really the 2 safety features of encaustic. The other thing is some people like to have a lot of ventilation in their studio. I tend to find that just an open window in my studio is fine. If you're very sensitive to environmental concerns, you might want to get a fan to further heighten your environmental situation. So we have our table set. We've got our safety features. I work on an aluminum hot pallet. I make these pallets. They're not essential, but they're really nice to use because you just melt your colors on the palette and you can mix them together. Some people use a griddle and melt little pots of color on their griddle. This is not turned on right now. I use my griddle to melt my medium for prep stations. But you can also use a cookie sheet on the hot palette, on the griddle, again using the temperature, the thermometer, to make sure the temperature doesn't go beyond 175 Fahrenheit. Or I found this interesting fry pan griddle, and you can actually find similar versions, cast iron versions in hardware stores. And again, you just lay them on the griddle and you can melt your paints on the surface to create colors. I just find using little pots is harder to make, to mix a lot of colors together, but you know, you can play around and create your own working station that works for you. As an aside, I sell these for $400 and when we get along further in our classes, you might be interested in investing in one, but it's not necessary. You can also get these little tins, again, through art stores or Amazon, and they're really nice to, again, melt colors, melt medium, melt your paraffin or soybean wax for cleaning your brushes and laying on the hot palette. We of course use natural bristle brushes for applying the paint to the surface of your paintings, and I also have a lovely display of encaustic paints in a cabinet with little slide out trays. I can see they're all labeled. I've got shelves where I hold my gesso, substrates where I'm going to work on. I've got my power bar with all my heated elements plugged in, and at the end of the day I just turn off the power bar and I'm done. I can walk away. Getting started with encaustic, you might like to invest in a small set. This is from R&F. These are the paints that I use. You can look online and find other companies, but to my mind, these R&F for the people that started creating encaustic paints, and their line is top notch. The prices are all basically similar. This is just the best quality I recommend. So you can get an opaque set, you can get a translucent set, or you can go out and just buy blocks of color. I'm just trying to find a new one here. So you can order blocks of encaustic color to use. And because these colors are so intense and so rich and pure, there's no filler in them, the colors last a long time unless you use them on huge pieces of work. I also have a little container of scraping tools that I've collected and etching tools. X-Acto blades for scraping. and different collage items to play around with on my work. So that's the essence of how I've set up my studio. In the next video, we'll talk about what colors to choose to get started and how to mix them. See you in the next video.